Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video, here's what's happening. I got a bunch of stuff, probably not more than $12 worth of stuff from basically an online makeup dollar store called Shop Miss A. I have talked about this site before. I feel like I've done at least one or two videos here or there incorporating products from this site, but everything is really, really cheap. So here's what I thought would be an interesting take on this. Try out the things that are best sellers according to the website and see if they're really that good. Even though they're only $1, like, is it really worth your time and energy to order them? And I'm always really intrigued by the best sellers on a website, even more than things that are top rated, because top rated might mean that they are like legitimately good because they've had a ton of reviews posted on them and there's like a lot of feedback there that you can count on. But with best sellers, sometimes it makes me wonder, like, did the website just start plugging these certain things so they were very visible on the website and they just got purchased a lot? But is it for good reason? You know, is this stuff actually good? So that's what I'm out to find. I'm always up for a hidden gem, and I've been playing with this stuff actually a little bit already, so I can have a little more info than just a first impression to give you. But the first thing I've got here is this $1 primer. It's the AOA Studio Wonder Skin Poreless Primer. There are going to be a lot of products from this AOA Studio brand, which seems to be the house $1 brand. The Wonder Skin Poreless Primer minimizes the appearance of pores and fine lines, leaving a smooth canvas for long-lasting makeup application. In using this yesterday, I mean, at first glance, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is going to be some super cheap dupe for photo finish, but I don't get that feeling at all on my skin. There's nothing silky about this. Okay, so it does look like photo finish. It is clear like photo finish, but it's much thinner and it just doesn't leave you with any kind of nice smoothness. It feels like just a really lightweight moisturizer, I would say. I guess what I'm really getting at here, let me just cut to the chase. I don't think this did a darn thing from a foundation application. It doesn't leave my skin feeling any smoother than when I started, just maybe added a little bit of moisture. Just calling it like I see it for me, as always. I don't always feel like I have to give that disclaimer in my videos, like, if I don't like something, don't take offense. But obviously, like, this is my channel. This is where I'm giving you my take on things, and obviously somebody else might have a different impression of something or a different preference for something, so keep that in mind. Next, I got this $1 sponge, and it may have been this website in the past where I tried a really, really bad sponge, or maybe it was iKate House, one of these affordable websites, you know, you never know with the sponges. But this one is a bestseller and I have dampened it, and I also used this yesterday too, and it just really, you know, blossomed. I felt like it took in a lot of water and it grew a lot in size, and it's definitely pretty soft. There's a little different material happening here than what you're getting with like a Real Techniques sponge. Definitely different from a beauty blender. There's a little more hit to the skin. Even though it's softened up by being dampened, it softened up in that sense. Just the texture of the material this is made out of still has a little hit to the skin. You kind of hear that bounce as it touches your skin. I don't know. Now, at the time I placed my order, which was probably a couple weeks before my vacation, I didn't see any sort of coverage face product under the bestsellers. So I'm going to be using something here that I already have. I'm going to use the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. And you will see me filling in the blanks here with some other products simply because I didn't find every element of face makeup as a bestseller on this site for $1. So I'm going to give myself a little foundation all over. And then we're just gonna bop it in or tap it in. I feel like the size of the sponge is kind of nice because it's giving me even coverage, but there's something about it that even when saturated, it feels firmer than like what you're using from Real Techniques or that sponge from NYX that I really like. Like, I guess they found a slightly maybe cheaper material that they can do this with. It's workable. It gets the job done. I just don't like it as much. The tapered side is really nicely shaped because I can really, you know, get into the eye area there just fine. And I think ultimately it blows up to be a little bigger than your classic beauty blender. I'm also going to use this sponge to work with a new concealer. I'm trying this as the Bare Minerals Bare Pro, and I have it in Fair Light. I'm going to do a little bit of this around the eye and the nose. Hopefully it's gentle to my little breakout I'm having down there. I never really break out in that way. It's very red, very irritated seeming. I'm wondering if it's maybe that thicker, like Farsali face oil, the Volcanic Elixir. I'm kind of wondering if that was responsible because it is a really intense oil and I feel like maybe other parts of my face could handle it, but that area, maybe there was a little breakout brewing even before I started with it and it just kind of went crazy. And then I tried to put my Clean and Clear Persagel on it, which I hadn't used that stuff for quite a while. Not really by choice, but because I'd been pregnant or breastfeeding and I just didn't want to use that ingredient. And I feel like my skin flared up in the exact area where I used that. It's so hard to be a freaking detective. Next, I'm going to push this sponge a little further and we're going to see how it does for baking. So I'm going to use my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in Fair. I love this powder. Love, love, love it. And just dab it on. Okay. That was nice and even, it seems like. Picked up the product well. Now while this bakes, I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows with my e.l.f. brow pencil. This is only $2. This is a great deal. I use it in deep brown, mentioned it in my favorites video. And then I set that with the Brow Stylist Boost and Set in the shade Dark Brunette. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then I'll join you with the next stuff. Okay, brows are done. My bacon is swept away, or did I just say my bacon is? My baking is swept away now. Don't be sweeping away my bacon though. I need to do blush and bronzer and I'm gonna lightly dip into this little compact here for a bit of a bronze. This is my Anastasia Blush Trio in Cocktail Party. And there's that really rich shade that used lightly on my skin I think does kind of make a pretty bronzer. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of that on here and then I promise we're moving on to more of the bargain things. It's just that not every element of makeup was a $1 bestseller on the website. But that sponge, did I mention that that was an AOA Studio product? By the way, it's called the Wonder Blender. That was not a terrible sponge. It was definitely workable, not really my ideal, just for my preferences, but it can do the work. It's not one of those sponges where you're like, I cannot find a way to make this work. It can do it. Then I'm gonna pop on some of this pink blush. Maybe just a teeny bit of the coral here too. I tap a little bit off on my hand because these colors can be very intense. But these are matte blushes and I wanted to make sure I used matte because we got some glowy stuff coming up. This is the best-selling highlight. It's called Wonder Baked Highlighter and I have it in the shade called Cupcake. So it's kind of small, but I mean adequate size for anybody for a highlight. It feels very dry to the touch, kind of like a baked style product, but there's the swatch. Do I need to build that up just a hair so you can see it more? It really doesn't seem glittery or too over the top here, but I've got two different $1 brushes that kind of fell under this bestseller category. Both I think are appropriate for applying a highlight. One is this big old fan brush and it's kind of a thicker fan brush, you know, not one of those barely there ones. This says F11 and then the F19, which I really, really love. This is actually, again, only $1 and this totally mimics the size of my Moda brush, the size and shape pretty much. Not that this one cost me a bundle, but you know, it's probably like $6, $7 when I got it at Walmart. So I'll use each brush on each side so you can see, but I'll pick up some of the highlight here. I just feel like this brush is totally worth it. Like it's that size everybody wants for a pinpointed highlight anywhere on the face, really. I think a brush this size really makes the most of even kind of a so-so highlight. I'm putting a little on my Cupid's bow here, but I don't know if everybody would really think it's so-so, but what am I trying to say here? It's not intensely pigmented and you might find yourself needing to build it up a little bit if you like a highlight that's extremely shiny, you know? This brush, I mean, this is a giant fan brush. This is so big. I'm just gonna get a little bit on there. I don't normally even really use fan brushes all that often in my makeup application. I feel like this is just a whole lot of brush for me right now. And I'm kind of, the product's getting a little bit too sheared out. Like this isn't quite strong enough of a highlight to be applied with a brush this big and still be seen. That was the experience I had yesterday when I was playing around with this too. So I guess that kind of confirms that, I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad brush. It does feel very soft. Both seem to be really actually well-constructed brushes, nice and solid with the ferrule and the handle and everything. You know if you like or need a fan brush, but I just think this is my ideal for putting on a highlight. But this particular highlight in the Cupcake shade is seeming just kind of average for me. I feel like I can build up to a pretty look, but it's not one of those little goes a long way products, you know, it's just kind of okay. But the brush is fantastic. And I am gonna do a little of my So Chill Coconut spray here from Smashbox. Smells good, sets the face. And then I'm gonna use a little Milani eyeshadow primer. And then eyeshadow wise, I have something here that's gonna be kind of like a statement type product here, this loose pigment. So I'm gonna be popping that on the lid, but I'm gonna set the look up with some other shadows. I'm pulling out my BH Cosmetics Festival palette, and I'm gonna take a little bit of Escape, this nice warm terracotta brown for the crease. Under the brow, I think I'm just gonna use some of the highlighter that I have here. See how that goes on kind of like an eyeshadow. Again, you gotta build it to really see it. Then I'm gonna work in this guy, which was one of the best sellers on the website. I'm pretty sure it was only $1, just like everything else. And it's the eyeshadow powder from Princessa. It says Pearl Powder, and I got it in the shade 27. And this is like a really, really light lilac color. The top twists off, and then it's truly just a little like thing of pigment here. There's a little swatch for you in a very awkward spot on my hand, but I used this yesterday, and I actually found the staying power to be surprisingly good. I thought, okay, it's just gonna be this really lightweight powder, and even though I'm putting it on a primer, I'll be surprised if it lasts all day, and it actually did. So I'm gonna pick up some of that on a flat brush and just pat it all over most of my lid, and then I think I'll bring in maybe one deeper shade from that BH palette. My stance on these kinds of things, though, these loose pigments, I feel like, yes, they can be very pronounced on the eyes, and some people might enjoy the different texture to work with, but more often than not, like, am I realistically gonna be pulling this thing out all the time just to get this shade? It is performing well, but when you've got a palette, it's just that convenience factor of palettes that I think is kind of undeniable. But I think it's good quality, and I think it's well worth the $1, if not more. Now I'm gonna finish off this look with this color called Swag. Really pretty matte here in the BH palette, and I'm just gonna pat some of that in my outer corner and gently overlap that light lilac that's there. So pretty. Then I'm gonna just blend a little bit with this color called Candy, just kind of buffing that out over my crease area. Isn't that a nice palette though? I mean, you can do so much. I respect the versatility and the quality. Okay, I've still got more products to use, but I don't have an eyeliner, so I'm gonna be using my Makeup Revolution. It's called the Renaissance Flick eyeliner. This was one of my favorites in my last video. It's so good. Really black and extremely long wearing. And also that pen style format, I know a lot of people are a fan of that. Maybe as opposed to the little inkwell. Me, I can go either way. But I feel like I've had a lot of liquid eyeliners fail me lately. The Milani 17 Hour has been good. This one has been good, but so many things just lacking on the staying power. I'd been in my little mode of Jordana color envy for life, it seemed like, and then once I started looking around to see what else was out there, it wasn't a lot of great stuff. So I'm doing just a little wing with this today. Gonna put a little Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlight in my lower inner rim. Best thing for this zone. If you want to brighten it. I mean, if you want to go with a color in there, of course you can do that too. But if you just want to have that wide awake look, this stays so well. And then I will smudge a little bit of dark brown here. Got an appointment to go to today. I don't need to be the most colorful thing in the world. All that just so we can start playing with some of the other best-selling products. One of the things that I got, and this is an AOA Studio product, is the lash curler. And I have been so into my Tweezerman lash curler for the longest time. I think this is a great one. It just seems to really suit my eye shape. I think I have a very like rounded eyelid lash line area, and it just fits it so well. But I gotta say, I used this guy the other day. It's got a nice amount of squish right in here, and it curled my lashes very well. I feel like it's maybe a little smaller in size than my Tweezerman, so that took a little getting used to just fitting the lashes in there. But I'll usually hold a lash curler on for like 20 to 30 seconds, and I'll do this little pulsing movement that for whatever reason I feel like that helps. And sometimes I'll slightly move it outward as I do that, and then you get more of a curve to your lash curl instead of just a one bend. Then I'll put on my Supersizer mascara. There was not a $1 bestseller mascara. At the time of my purchase, I guess should be the asterisk on all this stuff, because bestsellers obviously can change over time. This did curl pretty well. It didn't curl quite as well today. Maybe I just didn't do as good a job. They also give you, tucked in this little place right here, is the extra pad, your backup pad to put right in here. Let's see if we can do even better over on this side. But lash curling is one of those things where some people are so blessed, they have naturally curly lashes and they can totally skip this step. But for me, like, I mean, false lashes would not blend if I didn't give my own lashes kind of a curl like this. And then you find it really important to find those mascaras that don't immediately take the curl away. So Supersizer is pretty good about holding curl, not being too heavy. But I would say that lash curler is not a dud. I think it's pretty darn decent, and I think a big part of it is that the pad that it's squeezing into is squishy enough, because when they're rock hard, I feel like I never get as good of a curl. Next up, you guessed it, we're gonna try a lash. There was a best-selling $1 lash, and it's called the Cara DW. I guess that means Demi Wispies, maybe. I have tried quite a few lashes from this brand before. I don't know that I've tried this exact style though, and then also under the best sellers was this eyelash applicator, and these can be absolute gold for someone who is starting out with lashes and is really uncomfortable about determining the placement. So when I've been testing these things, I thought I'm not gonna try these out in advance because I didn't want to run the risk of these lashes getting like deformed. I wanted you to see them fresh and how they can possibly look, you know, at their best. Okay, this is a little more heavy duty than I thought. I thought it was just gonna be a little plastic guy, but it's got some weight to it, like maybe it's metal, maybe some sort of coating on there. But BH Cosmetics also makes one of these that I've always liked. But the thing you sometimes run into, I think, with bargain lashes is, are they evenly cut? Are both lashes cut the exact same way? Like the same length across and the same length to the lashes themselves. And these, just looking at them, you know, me glancing at them in the packaging, they seem to be really even. But you know, you might sometimes run into that situation. I have before with the cheapest of the cheap lashes. But I like the lash band. If you're used to working with Salon Perfect or Ardell, it feels just like those. I would say these Cara lashes though are even wispier than just the regular Demi Wispies that you would get. There's just a little more irregularity in how like some of these lashes are kind of pointing every which way. They're a little fluffier looking, and I do like that. Sometimes when you see a really perfectly, you know, evenly cut false lash, it just screams false lash, right? So I just put on a little bit of my Kiss, the strip lash adhesive with aloe. I'm kind of working through that, and I'm going to be comparing it to a couple of other lash glues. My mascara, what happened? I would be surprised if really anybody would need to trim these down from left to right. They seem to be a really manageable length, not too long. And I'm just going to lay these down and we'll see what we've got. Wow, really nice natural looking lash. As you can see, it didn't add really a ton of length for me, but it added a lot of thickness. That's nice. I think that's a very worthy bestseller. You know, like I could see a lot of people liking that. It would be great for people starting out and playing with lashes and, you know, expecting to have some screw ups along the way, so you don't want to spend too much. And you also don't want to look like really out of control with them at first. Then you reach a point where you're like me and it's like, just give me the longest and the thickest, please. But these are a nice, like, sneaky lash. If you really don't want people to necessarily know that you've got false lashes on, but you just want to look like they're naturally thickened. Oh, and I forgot the applicator. Okay, I'm gonna use that for this one. So here you've got this really wide gripper. And the nice thing about that is sometimes lashes that you get are way too curved. And so when you grip the lashes, you're gonna grip the actual hairs themselves with something like this. It can straighten out the lash a bit more and make it easier to come in contact with your lash line. And also, if you're just not comfortable getting in there with your fingers and you find that tweezers aren't a wide enough grip, this gives you that wide grip onto the lash. So I think these are ready. I don't know how much you can see here, but I'm just gonna lay them down. Yeah, that's very easy to work with there. Definitely, I think, a worthwhile tool for someone who's starting out with lashes and just wants to make easy work of setting them down on your lash line. It's nice. And for $1, you know? So once I get my lashes on there and the glue is drying, I kind of gently blink down onto my finger, and I find that that sets the lashes up just slightly so that they're not drooping. A very good natural lash. Highly impressed. Okay, now for my last two products, they are both lip products and they were both $1. One is from Beauty Treats and it's the lip scrub, and a lot of the scents or the flavors were sold out, but I did get the almond cream and it smells really good, guys. and it looks, you know, looks like your standard lip scrub. It's creamy and you can see the little bits of grit in there. I would say my complaint with this is that there's not enough grit. Not enough grit to do the job, y'all. Like I can feel maybe 2 or 3 granules that I'm trying to move around here onto my lips. The overall balm, or like the binder that's in here, seems to be good and moisturizing, and it has a nice thickness to it, but there's not enough scrubbies. I would say if you're serious about lip exfoliating, get an e.l.f. Lip exfoliator stick. That really does it. It's a nice balm again, but I don't think they really got exfoliated. Then you guys, these lipsticks, the Wonder Lipstick 24-hour lipstick. Ugh, no, I'm not a fan of this. I have this in the shade Queen. It goes on kind of feeling like a cream lipstick, and then it's like, sorry, I thought I had more grit on there. Now I can't get rid of the grit. This is a lipstick that sets and it kind of gives you this borderline tacky long wear, yes. This color happens to be like kind of a dusty coral, maybe you might call it. But it is matte. It's got a nice scent. It smells like some kind of candy, like a gummy worm or gummy bears or something. But then it sets, and like from this moment on now, I can't like mush my lips together the way I might with a normal cream lipstick. Like it's setting in there. It's kind of drying out, but it's gonna remain tacky for like, I don't know, it seemed like hours, honestly. And after I ate lunch, like that was all it took for the product to really start wearing down, and like drinking out of my water cup and stuff like that. There's no way this is in it for 24 hours. It's just out to make you kind of uncomfortable on your lips for a good, you know, 3 to 5 hours maybe. And then I was looking up close at my lips, like from the time that it took for me to do my makeup yesterday. There was like an hour in between where I was drinking my coffee, editing, and then I went to change Eve when she woke up, and I looked up close in that mirror at my lips and I was like, ooh, it just looked cracky and separated and patchy. And the feel, look how my lips stick together. Like they really stick. If I'm gonna use a lipstick, let it be creamy, let it be moisturizing. I really need the moisture in my lips right now. I don't need something to put on and dry me out and also not look good. It's not like I'm getting any sort of benefit out of this really, because it doesn't look great and it doesn't feel great either. And the color is something that's kind of take it or leave it for me. So I am just going to go ahead and remove this. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of Too Faced Birthday Suit. And then I'm putting this Revlon Kiss Plumping Lip Cream over the top just for a little added comfort and shine. So what do we think? Shall we recap here? The first thing I used was that primer. I was not a fan. I didn't think this did a darn thing for my skin. So that, I'm gonna say personally, is not even worth your $1. The sponge was definitely workable. I was actually surprised at how workable it was, because I've tried so many cheap dud sponges that just were hard as a rock, would never really take in the water and soften up. But this did do that. Being very picky about it and just thinking about other sponges that I have and my own preferences, I really appreciate the softness of the Real Techniques sponge, the NYX sponge, just a classic beauty blender as well. I think those all have a little bit softer texture when they come in contact with the skin. So this is kind of in the middle for me. Why don't you just meet me in the middle? Oh, we had the highlighter here. It's the Wonder Baked Highlight, which was just average for me, I would say. It gave me a pretty enough look when I sort of went to the effort to build it up. But if I just, you know, tapped into it and put it on like I would do most highlights, it wasn't quite enough. It's not bad, and I think it left a pretty enough look on my skin. But in the scope of affordable highlights, I think you could do better. I think Essence, the Pure Nude highlight, is really great. Of course, if you want to spend a little more money, those Anastasia highlights and the Sugar Glow palette are like next level good. Now this brush, this F19, outstanding, great. $1 brush, seems to be made really well. Just a perfect size and fullness for applying highlight. And it does exactly what my Moda brush does. So I can't speak highly enough of this. This fan brush, I'm not saying this is a bad brush. It's one of those really full fan brushes, doing a little shedding on us right now. But I don't think this is a bad brush. It's just, for me, it seems like far too big. The lash curler I think is pretty good actually. I would keep this maybe in a travel bag, so maybe I wouldn't risk losing my Tweezerman. I think it can definitely work. It's got a squishy enough pad there. The size seems to fit my eye better than expected. So again, that's from AOA Studio, just a $1 lash curler, and I'm pretty happy with that. These Cara DW lashes I think are a huge hit. If you're looking for something that can just give you that little bit of added length at the outside, but overall just thicken up your natural lash line, these are great. This tool also for a lash beginner I think is awesome. This Princessa pearl powder on my eyes, it's a pretty like light lilac sheen, and I like the texture of these. They're not like chunky textured glitter, it's just a very fine shimmer. So if you're into something like that, if you see yourself actually using and reaching for a loose pigment type product, I think this was good. Realistically, I don't see myself reaching for it all the time, but for what it is, it was a good product. And then these last couple of things, the lip scrub, I would skip this because really it didn't exfoliate my lips as it should. It was a decent enough balm, it was a nice scent, but it didn't really scrub down the lips, and I do not like this Wonder lipstick. Or I'm sorry, it's Wonder Liplock is actually the name of it. It sets to a really uncomfortable place for me. I just don't like it. Also, you guys, I haven't used these yet, but I just want to let you know these were under the best sellers, and I do plan to use them. They're the AOA Studio Makeup Remover Cleansing Wipes, the rose water kind. They give you 15 pre-moistened wipes in here for $1, so I will be testing those out and I will report back as to how that went. But yeah, this was fun, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's always fun to uncover some of those unexpected things where you're like, oh my gosh, it's only $1. Is it actually going to be good? I think we definitely found a few really good things here. So thank you for your time, and I will see you next time. Bye.